Oh, this is going to be a good one.
You're listening to Pete the Planner.
This week on the Pete the Planner Show, we answer your money questions live, well, not live, I mean live-ish, from our brand new studio on the north side of Indianapolis. Yeah, we moved out of the Carmel area. Why? The riffraff. Joining me as often is Damian Dunn from Studio North. Hello, Dame.
Hey, Pete.
Trying something different today. You not staring at each other in person, but we are looking at each other via cameras.
The miracle of technology.
I did think it also warranted like a new start to this show, and I wanted to try out something and see if you think it would grab attention.
Let's hear it.
All right, so let's see if this works. This week on a very special Pete the Planner Show, Damian becomes a man. Do you like that?
Is this appearing right after Days of Our Lives?
I don't know. First question. Here's how the show works. You email us, askpete@petetheplanner.com. We answer your financial question. And here's the first one. It's from a fellow named Craig. Spelled as you would expect, Dame. You ever see the alternate spelling of Craig?
Craig with a K?
No, there's several, and I'm just not for them.
Okay.
I really I'm a very tolerant person. I am very accepting. I'm inclusive. But when people spell their names in alternate ways, I lose my mind.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Did I get upset about that?
Yeah.
Dear Pete, I've known this rule for many years, and it really ticks me off. Should I start reading this in an angry voice? I believe in holding my children accountable for their education and developed a merit-based system for assisting them with a college education. This guy developed a merit-based program.
Good on him.
Yeah. I'm under the belief that paying for college is not something the government should be able to dictate to me. So I told my three sons early that this is how it works. Number one, you think he said it in this voice? Number one, Gary. You think it's one of his sons is Gary?
Chip.
I'll pay room and board for year number one. But if you don't have a 3.0 average at the end of the year, then you're responsible for future semesters until you have a 3.0 GPA or higher. Of course, this is not affected by the 529 rule, is what he says, but we'll get to the 529 rule. Number two, my sons are required to take student loans for tuition, books, and fees at the end of the semester. I would assume responsibility of that loan based on performance. And A means I assume 100%, B is 75%, and C is 50%. And anything below that is 0%. Okay? Are you with me so far?
Yep, got it.
So basically, he will pay their student loans back if they don't mess up. But if they do poorly, he's not paying.
Right.
So based on number two above, which I just described, if I'm back to him reading, it makes it easier if I'm in first person as him. If I can show that the student loan only has qualified expenses charged to it, then why are 529 distributions disqualified? Make it hard to use this accountability system when most of the money I have set aside is in 529s. Of course, I wasn't aware of this when setting up the 529 plans. So before we go much further, because he has further questions, we understand what's going on here, right?
Sure.
He wants to use the 529 money to deal with his merit-based system and pay back the student loans. Unfortunately, that is not allowed.
Yeah, Uncle Sam says that is not a permitted use of 529 funds. You cannot use them to repay college loans, even if they were used for qualified expenses.
His second question and point, he said, I am divorced, and this site even references merit-based agreements, which my divorce agreement has language concerning number one and number two above. So he put what he just said in his divorce decree?
Apparently.
I'm technically the non-custodial parent, even though our one son splits time evenly between us, and I claimed him on taxes last year. How does this affect the 529 plan? I'm the owner, not the mother. Thanks, and hope to hear your response. Where to begin?
First, we'll start somewhere where I think there's a really good idea in here. I think talking about college expenses, if you're going through a divorce and getting that laid out, knowing who's going to be responsible for what, I think that's very wise by all parties involved.
I agree. I think, yeah, it's exactly right. I think every family should choose an actual plan. This is an actual plan.
Hmm.
Most people don't do this, Dame. What they do is they say, "Oh, we'll figure it out." No, this guy has figured it out to the dotting the i's and crossing the t stage. He's just short of that.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see, all right, they'll plan based on, I'll pay X percent of state tuition or whatever school you enroll in, whichever is less. And so you can start to put some qualifiers in there to try and, you know, get a really good idea of what your expenses are going to be.
I think this is complex for a couple of reasons. Number one, um, a lot of parents say, "I want my kids to have skin in the game and
Hmm.
to pay for as much," which is frankly an old fashioned idea that I'm glad still exists. Unfortunately, how it works in practice today is not how most parents think it will go down.
No, no, it's not. I agree with you. I like the concept of kids being able to have a share in the expense of college, but it's becoming a thing of the past.
Now, this guy's version is especially interesting because what he doesn't do, he doesn't say, "Well, I'm going to pay for the first semester or whatever, and then you're on your own completely." What he's saying is, if you do well, oh, I actually do have money for you. I just might not pay it if you don't do well. I got to be honest, Dame. I've never seen someone save money specifically for college in a 529 and then dangle it as a carrot slash stick for performance.
I don't think I've ever seen that either. Now that you frame it in that way, I don't think I've seen it either.
And Craig, spelled correctly, if you're listening to this, which you probably will, because I'm going to send you the audio. Um, eh, I'm not being critical of this in the sense that you're a bad parent, but by all means, you're a great parent. You've done made good decisions here. But Dame, it's really inefficient in my estimation to use a specific college funding tool that has certain tax provisions around paying for college and use it as a motivation device.
Yeah, that's not the ideal way to set this up. And like he said, he's very upfront. He says he didn't understand this when he was setting up the 529 plan. So there was,
Sure.
I'm assuming, I'm guessing he probably set these up online, thinking he was doing the absolute right thing. He already had his plan in place in his head, and he said, "This is perfect. It's going to do everything I want it to." And there just wasn't that little bit of knowledge shared with him because frankly, if I'm in his shoes and I look and see what qualified expenses are, tuition, room, board, technology, all that fun stuff, great. I can use those to pay off all those things. And if it's inside of a student loan, who cares? And it's not necessarily an intuitive thing to know that you couldn't use a 529 plan to pay off a student loan. I get questions on that very thing fairly regularly.
You know, there's legislation right now, the Secure Act, that could potentially get people to a point where they could use 529 money to pay off student loans. Actually, in fact, I don't know if that's wrong. Congress is talking about it separately from the Secure Act, but what the Secure Act would allow people to do, there would be a lifetime limit of $10,000 allowed per borrower to be used from a 529 without any penalties or tax consequences. Dame, which is to suggest that this guy, Craig, spelled correctly, could actually withdraw the money from his 529 if that goes through to the tune of $10,000 to have this non-qualified expense, which is the student loan repayment. Um, so that's interesting.
Yeah, and the other option, which isn't going to make anybody happy, is just to take a non-qualified withdrawal and pay taxes and penalty on it, and then use it. But then, that's a horrible situation. Who wants to do that?
Man, my head is spinning on this question because it's good parenting, right? He is prepared. He is trying to get the most out of his student. He is still parenting.
Hmm.
Anyway, we hit the break. Dane, we got to go. Coming up after the break, more of your money questions here on the Pete the Planner Show. We're back on the Pete the Planner Show. Damian Dunn in studio, in his own studio up north, and I'm here in our new offices in the north side of Indianapolis.
I
Miss
have a
you, Dame.
studio. Yeah, it's different, but we can make this work, Pete. Long distance relationship.
Dear Pete, longtime listener, great show. Thank you, Adam. My wife and I were thinking about opening a separate savings account for my kids. They're 5 and 2 years old. Can you imagine how loud things are there, Dame?
Yes, I can.
My kids are 10 and 7, and our car ride to Yosemite, which I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes, they're so loud at 10 and 7. 5 and 2 is loud, but it actually just gets louder.
Yeah, I'm wondering when that stops, and I think it'll probably be when they're 21 and 19 and out of the house.
Can we have an old guy conversation real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
How upset do you get when you don't know where you're at, and so you're looking for a turn, like you're in a different city, and you're looking where to turn, you're trying to deal with GPS, and your kids are screaming? Do you get frustrated that you can't concentrate on what to do, and then you yell like a sitcom dad?
I'm going to plead the fifth on that.
Okay. Back to the email. I wanted to put some extra cash in there and get them started for a long road ahead on finance. Oh. The question is, should I open a savings account or a checking account? Also, should I open these separate from my current bank and look for the highest percent of yearly savings? Thanks, Adam. All right, dude, these are the sort of questions that you end up sort of answering all day long. No?
Yeah. First, I think he's doing a great thing. Another great parenting moment here.
Right.
We just had one last segment. I've got another one going here. And I have nothing against using an online savings account. I encourage people to check them out all the time. The yield that you get on those are way higher than what you can get at your local bank or even credit union right now. But there's one part of this experience that I'm wondering if it's important, and the more I thought about this yesterday as I was looking at this question, is it going to become something that's a thing of the past? I remember when I was a kid going to the bank and putting the money on the desk and sliding it across to the teller, and getting the little passbook back and having it written in. Is there something of value to that? That whole transaction of taking the money to the bank and depositing it, where on online bank, it's just going to be a transaction. It's going to be a click of a keystroke, and it's going to seem, I don't know, superficial to a kid.
I'm with you, and I have held that belief and that thought, but it's evolved to, that's great, that's quaint, that's cute, but we're going further toward a modern world where that experience of them walking into the bank, where it still means something to you and I because we sort of have straddled how money has flowed. It's just not the reality for them. When I was a kid, I remember going to the bank with my mom. It was funny. I stayed up too late one night and watched some show in which a guy robbed a bank on TV, and he wrote give me the money, and he slid it on a note across the teller's desk. So when my mom didn't know this, but when we went to the bank, she told me we were going to the bank. I wrote, give me all your suckers on a piece of paper. And so we went to the bank, and I pulled it out of my pocket, and she wasn't looking, and I slid it across the table, and the teller looked at it and knew us. And my mom was mortified. She was so mad. I thought she was going to kill me because she thought I tried to rob this bank of suckers.
I guess the important thing is, did you get the suckers?
I got one.
Well,
but she didn't let me have it. She threw it away. Which, you know what? Let's just be honest. There's starving kids out there.
Could have had that little hit of sugar that would have enjoyed that.
So, look, I agree with you in practice that I would like kids to have the classic feeling of savings. I just don't think it's realistic, given that who knows what sort of currency they'll be using as adults. I mean, 20 years from now?
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's why I said when I started this out, I was like, yeah, go and use an online account. But the old man in me said, man, you're missing out on part of that experience and part of I wonder if the tangibility, is that a word? If it isn't, it is now, of actually going and doing something with that money and taking it from your hand and giving it to somebody, when it's just a couple keystrokes and it's over and done with. And I don't know if that translates to a child as it would an adult. We know what's going on there.
I think online checking account in this situation is probably the best for a 5 and a 2-year-old. I think savings definitely over checking. There's just no reason to have ready access to it. And Dame, I usually am not against people going to a different bank than their regular bank and this and that, but I think it makes it especially easy to deposit into that separate bank when it's an online bank, right? It's just a click, click, click. Whereas if it's a physical bank, it's a little harder to get in there.
Sure, that's one of the advantages to an online bank. I mean, it's the app's on your phone. You've probably got an app for your bank as well. But as long as you've got an app for that online institution, you can initiate that transfer, and they'll pull it over automatically for you. So, I guess if you want your kids involved, let them hit the button on your phone. I don't know, but it can certainly be done that way.
I opened checking savings accounts for my kids when they were born. I mean, I remember very specifically. And the funny thing is, I think the initial deposits and then maybe like birthday money and stuff like that from like $25 here or there from grandma is in that
Mhm.
account. But Dame, if I'm putting any money for them away personally, it's just going into their 529 plan. But disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. This is not an official commercial for the College Choice 529 savings plan. What do you do like in those situations? You guys have savings accounts, or you just throw it into college funds?
And we've got savings accounts for building habits for them, getting used to saving money
Yeah.
and instilling that into them. But we've got 529s that we've funded fairly aggressively for, well, gosh, I don't even know how many years now, but it's doing all right. There's both sides of it. I guess it depends on what's the goal for the money. It seems like we've come back to this a few times in the last few weeks. Is if you're setting aside money for education, yeah, absolutely go for it and establish a 529 account, put it in there. If you're trying to teach your kids about how to use and value money, a savings account's a heck of a tool to do that.
No, I absolutely agree. Another thing sticks out to me here is, and we've seen this recently, and we actually saw this in the first segment. Good intention is wonderful, of course, it's good, but sometimes overcomplicating a situation, even when armed with good intention, will have negative consequences. So you look at the dad from the first email. If you missed it, go to PeteThePlanner.com/podcast and you can listen to this episode. I think it's episode 319.
We're getting up
Damn,
there.
how about that? I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be episode 450. No one cares. I think sometimes good intention plus complicated way of doing things results in a little bit of a miniature disaster.
It certainly can. It's
Keep it simple, stupid,
yeah.
right?
There's no reason to overcomplicate this. How many goals are you really going to try and accomplish in this instance? Savings accounts are good tools. Your kid's not going to get rich by
No.
contributing into a savings account. So you're really trying to build habits with a savings account. 529 account, that's a different story. You want to make sure that you're explaining to them what a 529 account is for, and how it's going to benefit them, and why it's important to put money in there.
With the 45 seconds we have left, I have to tell you and tell everyone, if you've not been to Yosemite National Park, you have to go. You have to go. If you can go, you have to go. Family went on our family vacation first week of July to Yosemite. It's Dame, it's crazy, and it looks fake. It's so real, it looks fake. It looks like Disney made it, except for the fact that at any given time you can die because it's real nature, which just makes for an exhilarating family vacation.
I want to go now.
Do you think they'll put that in the brochure? Pete the Planner says it's exhilarating because you could die at any time. Dame, we're going to take a break. Coming up after the break, more of the show. I'm Pete the Planner. Back on the Pete the Planner show. It's the Good Parenting, Do Neat Things for Your Kids edition of the show. Damian Dunn is in Studio North. Can we name your studio? Like something cool?
Can I sell naming rights to my studio like all
yes.
the big radio stations do?
Yes. You know what? We should sell naming rights to my studio.
Why didn't we think of this sooner?
Is this an appropriate conversation for air? I think it's the most appropriate. Like, here's the thing: if you're listening right now and you want to have studio naming rights to what was otherwise known as the Nameless Studio, hit me at askpete@petetheplanner.com. Dame, we did have one person last week email and say you are funny.
Yes, I printed it out and it's framed on my wall.
You know, that doesn't, it says less about you and it says more about that person's taste to me.
Well, I don't think that was a kind thing to say to either of us.
Well, no, I don't know. She's also said that I'm funny too. So she's 50-50. So Dame, I got a question this week. I'm not going to read it. I'm just sort of, because it was a back and forth and these sorts of things. So I just want to work through it. But in order to discuss it, we have to get people up to speed if they don't know what power percentage is. So we should do that.
Yeah, go for it, man.
So power percentage is a metric that you can use to determine how efficient you are with your income. Okay, so that's the baseline, Dame. It says a person has an income. How good are they at using that income to move their financial lives forward? That's what it does on the surface, but it does some other things. It can sniff out lifestyle creep, which is when your income goes up and your lifestyle goes up too. It can display your ability to create financial independence. It can tell you what sort of decisions you're making in regards to financing a piece of real estate and how that goes well. And it rewards you for paying down debt. So often people, when in debt, I guess I would just say they get in their feelings and they get upset and they don't feel like they're moving their lives forward. But the reality is they are. And so power percentage reward them from that. So I'm going to show you how to calculate it right now. And by show, I mean verbally. So Dame, let's choose just a round gross monthly income. Okay, you choose it.
About $5,000.
Thank you for choosing that. It's weird. I feel like I was trying to like telepathically send you $5,000 and you received it. Did you feel something?
Well, yes.
All right, $5,000. Okay. Now, what we want to determine, I'm going to list some positive activities, and I want you to just choose numbers of these positive activities, hypothetical. You're going to have to keep track of them too, because I'm not writing this down. And then we will calculate a person's power percentage. So gross monthly income, of course, gross means pre-tax, pre-everything, pre-retirement plan contribution, pre-everything. So a person with $5,000 gross monthly income, Dame, what would their salary be?
$60,000.
Just checking your math. It was a little slow. You came back a little slow there. Okay.
Sorry, I was focusing on the things I know that are to come and trying to make the numbers work in my head. So
yeah, all right, yeah, good job. Okay, so number one, retirement plan contributions through your employer, both yours and your employers. And Dame, we write these down on a monthly dollar amount format, right? Monthly dollar amount. So not, oh, I put in 10%. Shh. Calculated the dollars, yours and theirs. So Dame, of a $5,000 income, choose one. What do you want?
Let's do $500.
Okay, is that your contribution or is that your employer's match? Or is it both?
That's going to be the employee contribution. The employer match will be $200.
Okay, so far we've got $700 by my math, right?
You are correct.
Yes, things are going well. Next, any other retirement plan, college, investments, or savings that the person makes on a monthly basis needs to go down. So I don't know, give yourself a Roth or a 529. What do you want to do?
Let's do $50.
$50. Okay. And just for fun, what's it going into?
It's going into a 529 as a cool thing to do as a parent.
Wow, that's fun. That's fun. Okay, so far we're at $750. I'm keeping track. Next up, Dame, is, oh, by the way, if you include savings deposits in this section, just regulars into a savings account, don't include ones that go to pay for the holidays or vacations. This is just money that has no purpose, that's set aside to create stability, not pre-planned spending, right?
Right. Yep.
Next up is the amount of your mortgage principal that is paid back in any given month. Okay, so Dame, let's say you have $1,000 mortgage payment. A percentage of that, a dollar amount of that, is actually going to pay back the loan. The rest is going to interest, property taxes, and insurance. So what do you think of a hypothetical $1,000 mortgage payment? What do you want to choose as the amount that actually pays back the loan.
We'll use 350 right now.
$350. We're now at 1,100 total on this list of good activities, just for those wondering. Next up, Dame, is paying off consumer debt. Now, this is an interesting one because we give people a little bit of relief here. We allow them to put all your payments on there. Credit card payments, student loan payments, medical debt payments. You cannot put transportation payments, no car payments, truck payments, horse payments, pogo sticks, whatever you're into, you can't put them. But if you do have consumer debt, specifically credit cards, which you are not using, right, Dame, you can't put everything on the credit card, consider it into power percentage, and then just pay it off at the end of the month. We're not trying to get points here. We're trying to get efficiency. So if you're paying off debt, you get to include it. Dame, I would say in this example, you probably don't have any debt.
I was going to say no debt.
Okay. If you have debt, you get to include it here. And then that's it. That's it. You can also include HSA contributions in there if you don't blow through your HSA money. You can include permanent life insurance premiums in there if you want to. You can include regular charity payments there if you want to. Now, you add all those things up and you divide by the gross monthly income. So, Dame, I think we were at $1,100 for you, right?
Yes.
Divided by $5,000. So your power percentage is what?
22%.
22%. That falls low on the good range, right? Here's the key. If your power percentage is 10% or below, that is bad. And if you are by the way, power percentage generally only works for working people.
Mm-hmm.
For retired people, it's not necessarily representative of your financial health. But for people who have an earned income via work, it is very representative. 10% or below is bad. It is, you either have debts and you're not paying them, or you have no debt, but you're not saving any money. 11 to 20%, Dame, it's good.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Thanks. I did a good job.
Yeah, 21 to, well, you're 21 to 34, which is good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're in that range. The low end is good. And then 35 and above is perfect. I did 7 minutes and 45 seconds of setup to give you the question the guy asked this week. How's that?
That's going to be really efficient use of time.
We'll answer it next week here on the Pete the Planner show. Okay, sorry. Okay. No, his question was, he gets a bonus at the end of the year, and he wanted to know how to calculate that into his power percentage. Now, there's two ways to do it, right? You can take that bonus and let's say it's a $12,000 bonus to make this easy. And then you just divide by 12 and you add $1,000 of income per month. You can do that. I think that's the harshest way to do it because it holds you accountable to making good decisions with that money throughout the year. Or what you can do is just have a running monthly power percentage that doesn't include the bonus, and then do a snapshot bonus. A snapshot power percentage at the end of the year that includes the bonus and what you did with it. Would you do it any different than that, Dave?
Those are two really good ways. If I'm being completely honest, I'd probably just do something positive with the money that would normally impact my power percentage, but not get too hung up on how it's going to affect one individual month.
I got it a few years ago. I calculated my power when I was developing power percentage. I partially developed it so I would see what I did with my bonus and how it actually affected my life. So I like the question. I think the harshest way, again, the most stringent way to do it is to divide it into your monthly income. But I've gotten to the point where I just deal with my monthly income. I have my monthly power percentage, and then I just take a snapshot at the end of the year once I've done something with that money, and that is accurate as well. Dame, coming up after the break is biggest waste of money of the week. I have a good one and I have a bad one and some financial current events. All that is next here on the Pete the Planner Show. I'm Pete the Planner. This week's biggest waste of money of the week right here on the Pete the Planner Show from our new studios, Dame. New studios.
Yet to be named.
Yet to be named for naming rights. Wonder if the radio station will get mad if I'm selling naming rights to my own studio. I'm an entrepreneur, though.
That's right.
Hit me up. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. Subject line, take my money, Pete. The Smart Snore Eye Mask The Smart Snore eye mask is able to detect snoring through advanced bone-conducted technology and a unique snore recognition algorithm. It then utilizes a progression of 36 levels of physical intervention using microvibrations to eliminate the cause of snoring. With the Bluetooth-enabled companion app, you can collect and monitor data on your snoring-related status and the health of your sleep. It's $59.99, down from $89. Dame, I've got so much. I have a new cough button, and I just coughed into the mic.
It's going to take a while to get used to it, Pete.
If you listen to this show for the coughs, find yourself a new podcast because soon the coughs are gone. Do you think anyone listens for the coughs?
There's probably somebody out there that really enjoys coughs.
I want a t-shirt that says I do it for the coughs. No, maybe not. This came out wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? The Smart Snore eye mask.
Is this trying to replace the tool that spouses have used for decades? So it's a pillow?
Oh, a pillow. My wife throws a hard, bony elbow into my ribs and sometimes a closed fist.
Ooh, yikes.
Yeah, Mrs. Planner is a firecracker.
Wow.
She is my physical intervention when I snore. You know what? I have to admit, this is a really interesting thing, but I'm intimidated by the phrase physical intervention.
Yeah, 36 levels of it. I mean, is it what does it start off as, and how are they graduated enough for 36 levels? And
I thought about this. I think level 1 is just like a little tap to your temple, just a little wake up, Dame. Okay.
how big's the mask? I have no idea.
It looks like a sleep mask, a little bigger than a sleep
Okay.
mask. But the weird thing is, it's got like a plastic piece in the forehead area, just a very small plastic piece. So it makes me feel like if you sleep on your face, do you sleep on your face, Dame? Like you just face down like you're dead?
No,
Like directly down on your nose and face. It would hurt if you did that.
Just praying for the end to come.
Yeah, just like, Lord, take me. Okay, level 2 of intervention is just a little bit harder. And what happens is there's a guy like a cuckoo clock with a little hammer that pops out and just hits you in the eye. Now, level 36 is advanced. A German Shepherd runs into your room that has been summoned via Bluetooth, and it bites you below the waist.
Ooh,
and you wake up.
That would get your attention.
There's another item of biggest waste of money of the week that I saw, and you know what? I'm going to be honest, Dame. I kind of want one of these, and if I had one, man, you would make fun of me and literally everyone else I come in contact with.
These are the best, the things that we claim as waste of money, but then we secretly want. So I want to know.
All right. The charging cable bracelet double wrap made from denim and silver. A sublime combination of style and contemporary practicality, this charging cable bracelet serves double duty as both a charging cable and a handsome accessory that's always with you when you need it. Water resistant and made from genuine leather, it's a reliable way to make sure you're always at 100%. So Dame, it's like this little wrap bracelet that is actually just like a cool looking USB cable, but it looks like a bracelet and it clasps together. You take it apart and you can charge your devices with it. As a business traveler, let me tell you, having a cord readily available without having to dig through your bag is so great. I think this is a brilliant, but then I'm bracelet guy.
So it doesn't carry a charge itself. It just connects you to power.
Yeah, it just connects you to, it connects you to whatever USB hub is around that also has juice on the other end. But the bigger issue here is you've got to be a bracelet guy. You a jewelry guy?
Not
I can
really.
see you rocking a gold chain every once in a while with like a basketball charm on it.
I have not rocked a gold chain since middle school.
I had a basketball charm and a football charm that I used to wear on
with your numbers on them.
No, just a sort of I don't know, just like an image of a basketball and a football, and I'd switch them seasons. Like during football season.
Yeah.
Not
wear
weird.
Those to the mall with the letter
jacket. Do kids have video game controllers on their gold chains now?
Probably.
Or do they 3D print the gold chains?
That'd be pretty cool.
So I don't know. I think it's a good item. Did I come up with 2 good items this week that are actually supposed to be wastes of money? It's $27.99. That's an expensive charging cable, if we're being honest.
But it's leather and denim.
I know. Ooh. Dame, what's in the financial current events this week?
So we have talked about, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, but we talked about free college and the cost of college and student loan forgiveness and all that fun stuff. Kalamazoo, Michigan actually does something that's pretty unique. If you attend school, public school, you're a child that goes from kindergarten through 12, and you live inside the city limits at Kalamazoo, there's a group that will pay your tuition to any public school in the state of Michigan and a handful of private schools in Michigan as
Okay,
well.
I have so many questions. Let's first start with, is there a Kalamazoo Zoo in Kalamazoo, Michigan? And do they just call it the Kalamazoo?
One, I'm pretty confident there is a zoo, and two, if they don't, they should.
I mean, that's like if they don't, I don't trust anyone who runs that place.
Yeah.
Where are you going? The Kalamazoo?
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Question number 2. Are they doing this so people move there? And then, like, is that what this is about?
That was part of it. They a number of years ago, actually late 90s, I believe, mid to late 90s, Kalamazoo really started losing some population. They were going through the same thing that a ton of mid-sized urban areas were going through. A lot of flight from their areas out into the suburbs, and they were really starting to feel it. And so they tried to figure out a way that they could start bringing people back to the city itself. And a private group stepped up and said, here's what we're willing to do. And they've noticed some success. The Kalamazoo downtown area is starting to be revitalized. Families are moving back inside the city limits. And they're having some success at getting kids into the area and then on through college. Now, if you look at the demographics of who's doing that and who's succeeding through college, it starts to get really interesting. But that's probably a topic for another conversation.
Well, I think too, in Indianapolis, where we broadcast out of, they have a huge initiative to not only get kids through college, but more importantly, to keep the talented graduates in Indianapolis. I wonder if Kalamazoo has dealt with that. They've got this theoretically amazing program, and wonder if the people then leave after they got the free education from Kalamazoo.
I don't remember if there is a stipulation to return to Kalamazoo, but I don't think there is. I don't think there is. I think the carrot is dangled specifically for the parents to move back in to have an immediate effect in the downtown area rather than require the kids to come back. And it was a place in Ohio that we looked at a couple months ago, probably now, wasn't it? Because we were comparing either buying a rundown jalopy in Italy versus getting some student loan forgiveness if you lived outside of Cleveland, was it? Yeah, Cleveland area.
You know, Kalamazoo's pretty far north, right? So they can't be considered part of the Rust Belt.
I mean, if you mean pretty far north, about same far north as Detroit, then yes.
Oh, I feel like it's too far north. I think it should be like the Rust brooch or something, like a different accessory than a belt.
Or Rust USB charging cable that also doubles as a bracelet.
Okay, that's enough out of you. If you want to email us, do so. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. We will answer your email on air. Sometimes the answers are correct, and sometimes they're just wrong. I mean, not like wrong answers, but like we go down a weird path. First show from the new studio. Dame, thanks for joining me as always, buddy.
Yeah, it was fun.
If you want to email us and say Dame is funny, do so. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. We don't expect any. Sending you good vibes. Good vibes are all in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner, and this is the show.